Welcome back, everyone. Today we're going to be shedding light on the ample benefits appertaining to embracing living the MGTOW life. So what are some of the benefits associated with living the MGTOW life? Why should you indulge in embracing the MGTOW life? Without further ado, without further delay, allow me to demystify that answer to that inquiry right here, right now. First and foremost, by embracing living the MGTOW life, men are able to absolve themselves of the responsibilities of a marital man. Men who embrace living the MGTOW life abstain, desist, and refrain from getting married. They eschew the marital life, to say the least. They do not put themselves in the calamitous predicament of getting married. If you get married, then you have the onerous burden of having to take care of a prospective ex-wife. If you get married and subsequently have offspring, then you have the onerous albatross of having to take care of your offspring. Men who embrace living the MGTOW life are the less prone to being besieged by acute stressors on a daily basis. Sure, their lives may be fraught with difficulties and challenges, but it's not on par with the difficulties and challenges that marital men face. They have to take care of an entire family. However, if you embrace living the MGTOW life, then you remain single and do not put yourself in the calamitous predicament of living a life as a marital man. Marital men are vulnerable, are prone to potentially paying lifetime alimony payments in perpetuity to a prospective ex-wife. They're also prone to possibly even paying child support payments in perpetuity to a prospective ex-wife. So just bear that in mind and allow that to marinate into the chasms of your mind. Allow that to seep into the bowels of your mind. By embracing living the MGTOW life, you are mitigating against risks. By being a marital man, your life is all the more apt to plunge into a state of disarray. Life is already cumbersome and arduous enough, but when you take on the owner's burden of caring for an entire family, the difficulty of your life amplifies. If you want to ameliorate your life, if you want to enrich every facet of your life, if you want to be able to aggrandize your life, then remaining single seems to be the quintessential pathway to tread down, metaphorically speaking. What is another benefit appertaining to embracing living the MGTOW life? Well, you have more spare time. That means you have more time to be pursuant of striving to reach your higher aspirations and striving to reach your overarching goals. You also have more time to be inducted into healthy social circles and more time to sleep, to alleviate chronic fatigue, and more time to partake in stress alleviating activities to alleviate chronic stress. You do not want issues in your life to be perennial. You do not want them to remain unmitigated. You have more time to focus on optimizing your well-being. By embracing living the MGTOW life, you can attain a higher standard of living. Not only do you have a lower cost of living by not having to be beholden to a family to support, but you could also take heed of living a life in which your wellness, health are all the more apt to be optimized and not relegated to the back burner. You're also more apt to elicit improved health outcomes by embracing living the MGTOW life. You have more time to indulge in eating antioxidant-rich, anti-inflammatory, nutrient-dense, alkaline, raw fruitarian foods. You do not need to gorge down your meals when you have more purview over your time, and when you do not need to prioritize the needs of everyone else above your own. Furthermore, by embracing living the MGTOW life, you can attain quality deep sleep for a prolonged period of time, and you can engage in moderate exercises far more frequently than you otherwise would be able to if you had to take care of a prospective ex-wife and offspring. So, having more time to yourself can immensely redound to your benefit. And it could also allow you to potentially retire sooner rather than later. How so, you may ask? Well, by having more time to yourself, you have more time to cultivate behemoth brands and create income-generating assets. And it's much easier to pull yourself out of the muck and mire and emerge triumphant in your career when you have more time to foster behemoth brands, create income-generating assets, and grow your recurring revenue streams. Ideally, you want your recurring revenue streams as an aggregate to generate enough cash inflows to offset your recurring expenses. If you could meet that threshold of your recurring revenue streams, being able to offset your recurring expenses by your recurring revenue streams generating more than enough revenue to fully cover your recurring expenses, then you can possibly even retire decades sooner than you otherwise would be able to if you do take care of children. And it's also much easier to reach your career goals much sooner when you have more time that you can earmark into working. So what is another extraordinary benefit appertaining to embracing living the MGTOW life beyond the aforementioned benefits? Well, it could also decrease your mortality rate. It could amplify your longevity rate because you're less prone to succumb to chronic stress on a daily basis. Sure, it is stress-inducing when you have to travail on a daily basis and toil just to keep yourself afloat, but the difficulty of your life, the magnitude of having to diligently take care of a family in tandem with yourself is often grossly and obscenely underestimated. If you are under the axiom that your life is difficult now, imagine how much more it would be exacerbated if you had to take care of yourself in tandem with an entire family. So, when you are less stressed out, when you have more time to be pursuant of health optimization activities, and when you take anodyne measures to live a more salubrious life, then it redounds to your advantage, and it can be highly beneficent and salubrious and fruitful. What is associated with maximizing your longevity rate? It extends beyond the ambit of just minimizing your exposure to acute stressors that impinge on your well-being and that induce chronic stress. You also should take vegan supplements to ensure that you have optimal nutrient levels and to ensure that you preempt nutrient deficiencies. As per your meals, you should embrace devouring antioxidant-rich, anti-inflammatory, nutrient-dense, alkaline, raw fruitarian meals. You should also drink distilled water. Minimize your exposure to carcinogens, pathogens, endocrine disruptors, neurotoxins, and other noxious compounds. Furthermore, you should frequently embrace moderate exercise. You should frequently embrace stress alleviating activities, and you should engage in quality deep sleep for a prolonged period of time on a daily basis. You also may want to embrace intermittent fasting. If your body undergoes autophagy, if you have a healthy BMI and a highly nourished body, then when your body's in a fasted state, it can eradicate cancer cells, senescent cells, advanced glycation end products, fungal infected cells, bacterial infected cells, and of course, viral infected cells. So it's all the more easier to hone in on health optimization when you do not take on the responsibilities of a marital man. So if you embrace living the MGTOW life, it will more than likely bolster your happiness. It will more than likely boost your mood. It will allow you to live a more euphoric, jovial, gleeful life. Would you deem it to be all the more worthwhile and fulfilling? You possibly may, especially if it affords you the opportunity to reach your higher aspirations and attain your overarching goals, which you would otherwise be unable to achieve if you had to prioritize taking care of a prospective ex-wife and your children above all else. Single men do not have to work as many hours as married men. Single men are able to more efficaciously streamline their lives than married men because they have less responsibilities that they have taken on. What do I think about the absolution from responsibilities? I think that it can redound to someone's advantage because it can liberate their time and allow them to live a more blissful, more indulgent life. There's plenty of merit in being a marital man. You are providing financial support and guidance to an entire family, and you're living a sacrificial life. However, in spite of how meritorious that may be and how commendable that may be, doing that is not for everyone because it is arduous, cumbersome, and it is almost an insurmountable challenge to try to sustain doing for a prolonged period of time. A marital man may need to work over 100 hours per week, incessantly in perpetuity for the entirety of his life to support his prospective future ex-wife and his children for a lifetime. So, if you desist from entering the dating market, if you remain single in perpetuity and embrace abstinence, then just renders your life all the more easier, all the more streamlined, all the more manageable, all the more doable, all the more feasible, and provides you with more time to embrace entrepreneurial pursuits and to focus on reaching your higher aspirations and attaining your overarching goals and pursuing health optimization activities, as well as having more time to bask in socializing. When you're married and you have children, your time that you can allocate towards social activities is minimized. Furthermore, you could also allocate more time into self-indulgent activities, into leisure activities, and even into learning activities if you are single. If you're a married man, you may be working over 100 hours per week. You may be chronically fatigued, chronically burned out, and chronically stressed out. Your body may be inflamed, your health may be ailing, and your life may be exacerbating by the day. How could it be exacerbating by the day? Well, the older you get, the more worn out you get, the more arduous it is to sustain upholding your responsibilities. People only have so much stamina, so much endurance, and such a high tolerance for stress. They could only handle so many responsibilities. When you're being incessantly besieged by acute, chronic stressors, it undermines your health, your wellness, and impinges on every facet of your life. So, when you're single, you have more time to eat, sleep, relax, pursue entrepreneurial endeavors, engage in moderate exercises, engage in stress-alleviating activities, and the benefits can be profound, to say the least. They are salubrious, profound, and extensive. And perhaps the utmost potent benefit appertaining to embracing living the MGTOW life is that you do not have to deal with the dreadful experience of a relationship going awry. Lamentably, most relationships are severed and people part ways. They disassociate themselves with their former partners. But if you do not entertain the prospect of even entering the dating market, you're all the more apt to live a more meaningful and fulfilling life, because you do not need to squander decades of your life dating, or squander decades of your life being in a relationship with a prospective ex-wife. If a relationship is toxic and insalubrious, it's internecine and can adversely impact the guarantor, which in this context would be the man if he's subsidizing the amenities, luxuries, accoutrements of the high life of a prospective ex-wife who does not care an iota about him and is eager to divorce him, or would divorce him if his income were to even negligibly plunge. So we do hope that relationships can work out and be fruitful and be salubrious and be everlasting, and that there is reciprocity demonstrated between both parties, and that there is unconditional love and unrequited kindness and unrequited love being demonstrated. But life is fraught with setbacks, and the future is enigmatic and obscured beyond a veil of time. So even if a relationship seems to be salubrious and seems to be ideal, there's no guarantee that it will culminate in being sustained in the pending future, especially when people have the autonomy to sever a relationship at any given moment. It's easy for someone to file for divorce, and people can change over time. People's loyalties are often, unfortunately, fickle. They could pivot to finding someone else, or they may want to abruptly sever the relationship for some paltry, trivial, venial reason beyond the scope of your understanding. So just be wary of that. Men are leery about the prospect of getting married because they did not want to succumb to paying enormous settlements. In addition to paying divorce settlements, they also may be possibly liable to paying child support payments and even lifetime alimony payments in perpetuity to a prospective ex-wife if they concede to getting married and having children. So, hopefully, marital men are able to live fulfilling lives and do everything they want to do, in addition to living their marital lives. But that's not always the case. Living a marital life in a diligent, sedulous manner as a responsible man may drain away all your time from being able to pursue your higher aspirations and work towards reaching your overarching goals. And it may also divert time away from being able to be pursuant of health optimization activities, because taking care of a family is highly time draining, is burdensome, and is stress inducing and cumbersome in every facet. So the marital men who are able to be diligent fathers deserve their accolades, because it's quite a feat. I hope that you found this video to be insightful and enthralling. Have a blissful day. Goodbye.